Alright, what's poppin', people? Finally gonna do like an an actual upload instead of just like streaming, building, and playing, which frankly has been fucking fun as hell. Thank you to everyone that's been showing up to the streams. It's been a real fun experience to just again that live interaction is a lot different from me, posting a video and then still interact with the comments. Now, obviously, that's a lot of fun as well because it allows me to gather my thoughts a little bit better. Because while I'm doing everything live, like even when I'm just speaking right now, a lot of this stuff's just coming off the dome. And so I don't have a lot of time to figure out how I want to say things, even what I want to say in specific. I'll have a general idea of what I want to go for, but not much more other than that. But being able to just like have those live, back and forth with people in chat is really fun. And I'm really glad that you guys have also been enjoying the streams. I mean, shit. Post upload, those guys, they do well. Y'all seem to really enjoy it. And I think there also is just something to getting to see how the team building process works live. Especially I don't know. I definitely, when I'm building, take my pretty time with building. Especially when I'm trying to make like a team actually like sound, I'll test it a whole bunch. I'll make a lot of minor changes as well, just to try to get everything how I want it to be. So thank you guys for all the support that y'all have been giving me. Also, just again, we've blown my expectations for summer out of the water. I was just aiming for 50. We're well into the 100s, which is really cool in terms of subscriber count. So let's see. By the end of the year, could we hit 250? It'd be about doubling what we're at right now. Oh, that's pleasant. Lightning. Or Thunder's the one you hear, lightning's the one you see. I'm smart. But can we do 250 by the end of the year? Y'all have been killing it. So, hey, let's keep this shit up. And now, let's actually get to what the video's supposed to be. Sneasel Spotlight. I wanted to do one of these because Sneasel's a really interesting Pokemon to me. Now, for those of you that have been living under a rock, maybe are just now coming back to competitive Pokemon, or even Pokemon as a whole, Sneasel's huge niche last generation was how good of a pursuit trapper it was, right? You'd have a lot of these fragile wall breakers, like, say, Sceptile, Sigilif, Specs Rotom, that Sneasel, depending on what move they locked themselves into, Sceptile might be a little weird to mention here, I guess, if I'm talking about Pursuit, but I guess it still maybe wanted to switch out of fear of Ice Shard. Sneasel would be able to force out Pursuit Trap and deal with them like that. Obviously, Pursuit, though, has been removed now, and that's a huge part of Sneasel's niche gone. But what if I told you Sneasel's even better now in you than it was last gen, despite losing a core part of its kit? Now, there are a few reasons for that, right? I think the big two are, well, Incineroar. This isn't in you anymore. So not only is that Sneasel's best check gone, but a competitor is a Dark-type wall breaker, right? Incineroar's Swords Dance sets combined a whole bunch of stuff into one kit. Knockoff spam, general wall breaker, a whole bunch of defensive utility. It did it all. And you also don't have this guy in the tier right now, Passimian. Passimian was able to soft check Sneasel. Sometimes you'd want to free up your moves and take advantage of its knockoff. So you could switch into that pretty easily. Passimian also is just like generally pretty good on its physical bulk. 190 splits, that's good. And so those two factors as the tier went on really limited what Sneasel could do. And there are other things too. Vaporeon was really common, Steelix was really common. There were just more defensive answers to Sneasel. But in this generation now, there's a lot less. And so we ended up banning Sneasel at one point. And part of that was lower power creep in general, making a fast mon that could spam knockoff really hard to deal with. But even as we brought it in... Wow. That was unpleasant. But I don't know if the lightning is being picked up on the mic. I hope not. But even with the power creep being a little higher, Sneasel still is just super good, even without Pursuit, even with more Pokemon that could handle hits from it. And let's go over why. So obviously, this is going to be the main set that you see Sneasel for, right? Choice Band. Sneasel's fast as hell, not the strongest, but Choice Band makes up for that. And you've got Knockoff. So Knockoff in this generation is just, in general, an even better move. Without Z moves, you have even less Pokemon that can pivot into Knockoff. Because obviously you don't want to lose your item. And Z moves are a good way to avoid that. Even Mega Stones were an okay way. And you didn't really have any of those though, because what Megas did we have at the end of last gen? Mega Audino and Mega Abomasnow, I think, were the only two. We had Mega Camerupt at one point, but that ended up banned. I think that was the only one. Other than that, and really only one of those would ever really consider switching into Sneasel, in my opinion, that being Mega Camerupt, maybe, because that mon's really bulky. But just in general, Knockoff is such a free move to spam, and so when you have a mon this fast, being able to just make use of that really strong move is so nice. Additionally, Icicle Crash isn't even a hard move to spam either. Now, some people might point to Triple Axle and be like, well, why wouldn't you run that stronger? And my answer to that really is twofold. One, I don't think you really are trying to spam Icicle Crash. I did say that it's a pretty easy move to just use. But with Miltank being all over the place, I think it's a lot harder to still want to reliably spam it. Despite that only being one Pokemon, it is really common right now. But also because Sneasel wants to use Knockoff anyway. And so you're not really using your ice move for the big damage. It's Knockoff. When you want to just break, you press this move because it's no drawback. Icicle Crash can miss as well, which makes Knockoff even more worthwhile to spam. I'm sorry. And Triple Axle, when you look at it versus Icicle Crash, I think you have to get all 3 hits to actually be doing more damage. And so you've got 3 hits at 90% accuracy. To hit all of those, it's a little bit better of a chance to hit Focus Blast, so it's not a very reliable move, obviously. But I think you could even point to, like, Mudsdale as a Pokemon as a reason that won Icicle Crash. Triple Axle, I think, ends up actually being a little bit weaker, just because of its ability Stamina. This defense boost makes it so Mudsdale can take those later hits a lot better. You know, you take up the 2 weaker hits and then the last one's not as big of a deal. So I do think you have a little bit of, like, argument for just wanting Icicle Crash for Mudsdale. And of course, Sneasel's also super great because Choice Banded Ice Shard, man, picking off things like Whimsicott, because the amount of times I've had someone stay in with a Sneasel locked in Icicle Crash versus a Whimsicott, just forgetting that Whimsicott's faster, is insane. But you can pick that off, you can pick off Rabombi with Ice Shard if it's weakened enough. What are some other Pokemon that don't like Ice Shard? Ninjask? That's another big one because people love Ninjask right now. And in general, Sneasel's speed tier is just really cool for picking off things like, say, Ninetales. Frostmoth, you are slower than it when it's boosted, but you can take a hit, assuming it's not randomly Bug Buzz, and deal with it with Knockoff. I'll be right back, but once I do get back, we're going to talk about this set here. Alright, I'm back. I had to go do something else, but so as we were saying, we also have Boots SD Sneasel. Now, this set is obviously a lot weaker than CB Sneasel, right? Sneasel, base 95 isn't bad. I mean, what? I'm pretty sure Rabombi's base 95? Yeah. So Rabombi's base 95 special attack. And we talk about how Rabombi is still pretty capable of pressuring teams, even after it, like, tricks away its choice specs. And that's why it's a big reason that it's so good. The huge amount of speed it has, plus pretty good strength, even without a boost. And you see that a lot with Sneasel too, right? You can have it have boots, and a big way that you generally do with Sneasel is trying to force passive damage onto it, be it through Rocky Helmet from something like, say, a Weezing, or Entry Hazards, which is obviously the more general case. You have a lot of Pokemon like Miltank that set Entry Hazards and conveniently force Sneasel out, so it's not too hard to get a Hazard up versus a Sneasel team, and then keep it up. Well, if you're running into Boots Sneasel, it just doesn't care. it also gets a lot more late game potential, because you get a +2 boost. What stops you, really? I mean, shit. Sneasel's defensive counterplay in the tier already isn't the most, like, stout, right? It's not that hard to find ways past Sneasel's checks. You know, Aromatisse, one flinch from a +2 Sneasel and it's probably gone. Colberberry, like ghost types, those are viable. Very viable. Garbodor, you know, it's running Spadef mostly right now. Kingler, I sure hope that's not your Sneasel check. Miltank, seeing more I'm running Body Slam entirely because I'm scared of Sneasel and the God Moth himself, Frostmoth. That's also scary. Piloswine, obviously not the most consistent check. Poliwrath, I don't even know how I feel about it as a Pokemon. But you get what I'm saying, right? Late game Sneasel has so much potential if it gets that Swords Dance boost. And it still carries a lot of early and mid game potential just because boots let it switch in and out really easily, and you can still just spam out knockoffs, which is a good way for it to support itself. I guess the last thing I could really do here is like talk about some partners. I think specifically for this set, because I don't think it's the most intuitive set to build around. I think CB is just a lot easier to just slap on a team and say, okay, here's my Revenge Killer and Wall Breaker. But with Boots, it's like, okay, how do I set up Sneasel to have success throughout a game? Okay, for some reason I thought one of these was like male, the other female. Regardless. Boots Sneasel. I think, but when you're looking at partners, Whimsicott and Rabombi just immediately to me stick out. Because Sneasel in general, once there's like steel types pressured, things like Silvally Steel, Galar Fisk can just be like kind of annoying. Yeah, it can support itself versus Galar Fisk by knocking its item, and a Galar Fisk without an item is a very sad Galar Fisk. But it still wants help, right? And so something like a Whimsicott that can just continuously pressure those Pokemon with its strong Moonblast, or a Rabombi that can do it. Even a Drampa, obviously a lot slower than those two, but same idea, spamming out these super strong hits against a Pokemon that very consistently can draw in. Drampa also has the benefit of drawing in fairy types, because they're just trying to, you know, pivot in on a Draco and force you out of your specs. Even if you're another set, still force you out with a strong Moonblast. But it's these such Pokemon that can just open the gate for Sneasel late, because they put a whole bunch of pressure on common checks to it. Obviously, you're still gonna have to deal with some like faster Revenge Killers, or just bulky Pokemon that don't care. Like say Girder, its Mach Punch will always be annoying. Something like a Kangaskhan, you know, spamming Fake Out can always be a little bit annoying. Mudsdale, you're never not Mudsdale, Miltank, you're never gonna really break, as long as it can stay at a high amount of health. There will always be a little bit of issue trying to get by it. But in general, Sneasel does have a lot of late game potential. Once you get past those like few defensive answers, it's generally going to be set up to just sweep because it's so naturally fast. And if you do set up a Swords Dance, what's stopping you from clicking an even stronger knockoff than a CB Sneasel would? And like, again, here's an example. This team, I'm still working out some kinks of it, but I think it gets the general idea of what you're trying to do with Sneasel across. You know, stack hazards, and eventually, through hazards plus Whimsicott, in this case, breaking, even Rotom, kind of, it opens up the gate for Sneasel to sweep late game. I think it's going to be about it for this video. There's a lot of a shorter video, because Sneasel, I don't think there's a whole bunch that I can really go into with it, but I do think it's a very interesting Pokemon to look at this generation, because I think on paper, it's one of the Pokemon that should have suffered the most from the generational shifts, just because losing Pursuit, again, that's a huge part of its niche just removed. But I think it's cool to see how other factors from this generation play into the overall viability of Sneasel, and ended up showing a bit different of a story, or telling a different story. How Sneasel, in several ways, got a lot better because of other things the generation brought, such as, you know, other Pokemon not being around to give it issues. I think that's gonna be it from me. Probably will stream this weekend. Streaming's fun, and we can build some more. Maybe use some Sneasel, I don't know. Until then, though, hope you guys enjoyed the rest of your day. If you haven't watched the Forest Sky LP, please watch it. I haven't uploaded in like 2 weeks. But that's mostly because I just haven't had the will to. But we're gonna get back on that. I'm kind of just riding the like more competitive Pokemon videos because, well, let's be fair here. These videos do significantly better than the Let's Play does. Like, they do significantly better. So I'm trying to put out the content that the majority of y'all are here for. But hey, if you like my commentary in general, hey, the other stuff ain't too bad. A bit different of a me, I'd say. A lot more laid back in this. Give it a shot. Until then, though, hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. And I'll see you then. Peace.